So a couple of weekends ago, my girlfriend and I went to a place called Weeki Wachee Springs. It's about an hour north of Tampa, about 2 hours west of Orlando if you're coming from that way. I thought it was a pretty cool place, and I'd never been there or even heard of it before I moved to here. So I wanted to make this video to go over some things that, makes the spring special, and even give you some tips if you're thinking about going yourself. My name is Bobby, and I've been living in Florida for about 4 months now. I like to make videos on tech and travel. If that's something that you're interested in seeing more of, be sure to subscribe to follow along. Like I said earlier, the spring is about an hour north of Tampa, or about 2 hours from Orlando. It's right there on the Gulf Coast. We went paddleboarding whenever we went the other day, but there's actually quite a bit of things to do in the area if you're interested in other stuff. I know for sure there's the Buccaneer Bay Water Park, but there's also mermaid shows. I believe it's put on by the state park there. If that's something you or your family would be interested in doing. I've actually heard really good things about it. Like I said, we went kayaking and paddleboarding on the river itself. We actually own a paddleboard, but if you don't have anything like that, you can rent kayaks and stuff like that from several businesses around the river. That said, if you're not going to bring your own, I would recommend making a reservation because things like that tend to seem to sell out pretty quick in this area. For some fun river facts, the river itself is a little bit more than 7 miles long, and 5 of that is a protected area. There's a little bit of rules whenever it comes to the protected area, but it's pretty much common courtesy, and I'll go over some of that here in a little bit. If you're anything like me, you're probably wondering why the name Weeki Wachee. Well, good news for you, I Googled it. The name actually comes from the Seminole language, and it means little spring or winding river. And then if you're also like me, you're probably wondering, where do the springs come from and what makes the water look so cool? Well, the springs come from a huge aquifer system that actually takes up a lot of the state of Florida. More than 100 million gallons of water come out of the spring each and every day. And overall, that's kind of what makes the water, seem so clear and be such high quality. Also with that, the water temperature stays about 74 degrees all year round. In the summertime, that can feel really, really good, but in the winter, it can actually be a little bit cold. If you're out on the springs, there's a decent chance that you'll actually encounter some wildlife while you're there. The springs are a really popular spot to see manatees, especially in the wintertime because the water stays relatively warm all year. That said, if you do happen to come across any manatees, leave them alone. Don't pet them or touch them or anything like that. I've seen people do crazy things. They're not quite endangered, but they are threatened as a species, so just be good to the manatees. In line of animals too, it's important to remember that you are in Florida. It's not super common to see snakes and alligators, but it's definitely something that you should, keep an eye out for and watch out for. But we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a bit. And like I mentioned earlier, there are some protection zones in the river. I did read on some places online that you're not allowed to swim, but that didn't seem to be the case whenever we were there. It seems what they're most concerned about is you pulling your boat up and kind of destroying the land and some of that grass on the riverbed that's there. There are some signs that are posted with the rules, but for the most part, they're pretty common sense. I think that you guys would be okay. We did see some police that were passing by on jet skis, and that's why I wasn't really concerned about swimming because there was a ton of people swimming. I did see the police on the jet skis talking to a couple of people, so if you do happen to break the rules, you may be fined for it. I think those people had their kayaks pulled up to the bank and tied off. I won't lie to you too, like a lot of places in Florida, the parking can be really, really hard. The river itself can also be kind of crowded too. There were times where even our group just ran into people that we met in the river. And I have heard that they actually cap the amount of people on the river each day. Like I said, it was busy whenever we went, but this wasn't an issue that we ran into. So I would recommend getting there before the crowds though. And don't worry too, like I said, even though it does get busy, the further you go down the river, the more people start to clear out so you can actually enjoy your time there. And with that, as promised, I'll give you some of the tips that I mentioned earlier. Some of these I touched on previously, but I'll go into a little bit more detail here. So for tip number 1, plan your day in advance. Try to get there a little bit early if you can, and avoid major holidays and weekends if at all possible. Weekends do seem to be a little bit busier, but we also did go on a Saturday, and it wasn't too bad. Overall, your best bet is to get there a little bit early. I think we got there around 10 or 11, and that's probably about the latest that I would get there. Alrighty, tip number 2. If you're going to get there early, plan for a long day. If you've never floated or kayaked or anything like that, it's always a good idea to bring some snacks. On most kayaks or paddle boards, there's usually a room to fit a little cooler on the back if you have one, and you can also pack more food or drinks in there or whatever you would like. Like I said, if you've never kayaked before, it can really drain the energy out of you and you would probably get hungrier faster than you realize. Also, as an extra tip, if you are going to bring snacks or a cooler, pack a gallon-sized Ziploc bag with you. That's something I've done whenever I've camped before, and it's really nice to be able to stick those little pieces of trash in there whenever you come across them and have them. Tip number 3, protect yourself from the sun. It's Florida. It's hot, and it's sunny most of the time. I recommend you bring some sunscreen or even a nice little light sun layer if you have it, like a sun hoodie. If you do have a thin little layer, you can always take it off and stick it in the dry box of your kayak. Also, I would recommend to bring some polarized sunglasses if you have them. This can help to reduce the glare on the water and just help you have a better time and to be able to see through. Maybe there's some fish or something. If you don't have polarized sunglasses, it's okay. You can bring any pair that you have. I would just definitely recommend bringing some. Tip number 4, plan for the weather. If you're planning super far in advance, this can be something that was definitely challenging, and I understand that, but look up your weather before you go. As a Florida transplant, the weather can be super unpredictable here and change really quickly even. A lot of the times it'll be sunny in the morning and then storm for an hour in the afternoon and then be hot again for the rest of the day. Especially if you're on the water, try to watch out for black clouds or thunder if you hear it, and do your best to work your way back if you do. Tip number 5, don't go too far off the path and try to stay in the more populated areas. Even though it might be tempting to go, to some of the side streams where there's not as many people, those are probably going to be the places that you're going to find snakes, alligators, and the less desirable creatures that you don't want to be around. It might be more of a common sense thing, but if you stay with everybody else, that shouldn't be a problem that you have to deal with at all. And last but not least, and most importantly, tip number 6, enjoy your time. If you've never floated before, sometimes it can be easy to rush. Don't make this mistake. Take a minute, relax, and enjoy your surroundings. Be sure to take a lot of opportunities to stop, get out and swim, and cool off if you need to. Alrighty, so those are my 5 or 6 tips and some of my thoughts on Weeki Wachee Springs. We had a really good time whenever we went, and like I said, I would recommend that you all go. We definitely plan on going back, and maybe some other time we'll check out some of the other stuff like the water park or even the mermaid show whenever we're there. And guys, that is about all I have for this video. If you've ever been to the Springs, leave me a comment below and tell me how your time was. If you're planning on going to the Springs or if you have any questions, also write me below and I'll do my best to get back to you. As always, I appreciate you watching and I thank you so very much for your time. I hope you have a good rest of your day and night. Peace.